Affirmative. All right, so hello class. My name is Keith Hazeman. My informative speech today is going to be on happiness. So we'll start out just by asking who wants to be happy and who wants to either be happier in their life. And I think the answer to that is most people would say, definitely, I think I want to be happier. There's not too many people out there saying, no, thank you, I have enough happiness in my life. Can't have any more happiness in my life. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at what happiness is, what happiness is not, and how to get more happiness into your life. So let's start with what is happiness? So the Webster Dictionary describes happiness as having, showing, causing a feeling of pleasure, joy, excitement, or gladness. So keep in mind as we go through this speech today that happiness is just a feeling. So it can be unique to the person. So what gives happiness and pleasure to one person, not necessarily to another person. So it's a feeling. So keep that in mind as we go through this. Professor Tal Ben-Shahar describes happiness as the ultimate currency. So before I go into his quote, I'll give you a little bit of background on Tal Ben-Shahar. He's a PhD. He has a doctorate degree in psychology. He's best known for creating the best class in Harvard's history. Basically, is how they describe him. So the most attended class in Harvard's history. That's how they define him. He also written a book. It's called Happier. So the quote that I'm going to share with you today is from that book, Happier. And in that book, he says, "A human being, like a business, makes profits and suffers losses. For a human being, however, the ultimate currency is not money, nor is it external measure, such as fame, fortune, or power. The ultimate currency for a human being is happiness." So I think he really describes it really well there. And like I said, he's definitely, credited with, having positive psychology as a specialty and having the most attended class in Harvard's history. So I think definitely he knows what he's talking about. Another author that I had written a book about that kind of goes along with happiness and, human excellence is Stephen R. Covey. He's the author of a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the 7 habits that he describes is the habit of that the private victory has to come before the public victory. So a good example of that is when I trained for a triathlon, that I had to go through my training, that I did my 3 days a week training for a 3-month period, and then I did my race, and then I felt really good about the result of the race, and at the end of the race I said, I did all I could, I trained as much as I could, I tried as best as I could, and then I'm happy with my result. So that was my private victory. The public victory came after that, when it turned out that I was second place in my age group. So that was then the public victory when I had my name announced, second place, the age group. So that was my public victory. So next we'll talk about what happiness is not, because this is one that we often get confused about, because happiness can often, disguise itself in many other ways. So one of the ways that it can disguise itself is that happiness comes with a job or a career. A lot of people will say, if I can only have this job or this career, then I'll be happy. But what we're going to do is look at an example of 2 men. These 2 men are the same in every single way. They obviously had the same job. They're both ditch diggers. They work for the same company, had the same pay. They work in the same neighborhood, same value of the house. Obviously, they make the same pay. They both are married. They both have 2 kids, have the same car. They're the same in every single way possible. But now we're going to peek into their mind a little bit as they're doing their job. They're both in the same ditch. They're digging their hole. So we're going to peek into their mind a little bit. So the one guy digging the ditch, he's like, oh my goodness, this is the most horrible job I've ever had. This is terrible. I cannot believe I have to dig a ditch for a living. And he's saying, oh my goodness, my kids and my wife, they must be so ashamed of me. I cannot believe I have to do this. This is horrible. This is like the worst as it can get. So now the other guy's digging the hole. He's like, man, it's such a beautiful day today. I cannot believe I get to work outside. I don't have to sit behind a desk all day. And I'm so glad I could provide for my family. This is a great job. What really is the difference between these 2 guys? It's the way they think, right? And the way that they attach happiness to their job or whatever situation they're in. So next way that happiness can be disguised as something else is through relationships. You all often hear people saying, if I only had a boyfriend or if I only had a girlfriend, then I'd be happy, or if I was married, then I'd be happy. All these types of things, they attach it to a relationship. Relationships can bring some happiness to our lives for sure, but a relationship in of itself is not considered happiness. So The third thing that we'll look at, and lastly, is going to be how to get more happiness into our life. So probably the easiest way is to realize, like Ben Shahar said, that happiness really is the ultimate currency. There's nothing more valuable. Almost everything that we do is in the pursuit of trying to get happy. So just keep that in mind. And some easy ways to do that, just take some pleasure in the simple things in life. Enjoying a sunrise or a sunset, or the waves crashing on the beach. We live right down the street from some of the best beaches in the world. People travel all over the world to come to our beaches. So just take pleasure in that. Having a conversation with a friend or your children, or just playing with your kids or whatever. Just find the pleasure in the little things. And there's a saying that goes, some of the best things in life are free. And there's definitely a lot of truth to that, and can be a lot of happiness. And also just to be grateful for what you have in a situation that you're in. One of the best ways to get happy is to write down a list of things that you're grateful for. If you take a list and pen and paper and write down 10 things, by the time you get to the third or fourth thing that you're glad about or grateful for, you're definitely going to have a smile on your face and be more happy. So to wrap things up, so we learned today about what happiness is not, and how to get more happiness in their life. So like at the beginning, I'll ask you again, who wants to be happy? Who wants to be happier in their life? You have the tools and the know-how now. The rest is up to you. So happy trails to you. Thank you very much.